Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
And I'm Al Reynolds, your host and judge.
Each show, there are 4 celebrity cases, 3 real attorneys, 1 verdict, guilty or not guilty. This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
Hey, listeners, what is going on? Come on in, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. I see a few people are already in. Come on in. Come on in. Can you believe it is May 28th? We are almost halfway through the year of 2026. I am still amazed at how fast it has gone, but I want you to come on in. Come on in. All my followers, come on in. Colette is here. Tracy Odom is here. Brenda Kay, Nisha Phillips, and Sandra McGee. But of course, everybody, look at this super chat we got right here from the lovely Caramel 1977 Cancer. Caramel, thank you so much for all of your support all the time. Me and the lawyers, and I can speak for them, are so appreciative of everything that you do for the show, your support, your kind words, everything is really appreciated. Anybody else want to be kind? Jump down in that super chat. We got you. All right, tonight I got my tea, and I got my hot tea right here because, baby, the docket is filthy. All right, we're starting with Matthew Perry's former assistant has been sentenced, and the question is not just what he did. The question is, when does being close to a celebrity become as dangerous as 2 years plus in jail? Then we're going to talk about Floyd Mayweather. Yep, he's back. Welcome back, Floyd Mayweather, to Celebrity Court. He's suing for $175 million, claiming alleged fraud by someone in his circle. Baby, when the betrayal comes from inside the house, the lawsuit hit different. Can't wait for the lawyers to break that down. And Saweetie, oh, she's so beautiful. Saweetie's being sued for more than $3 million over alleged Japan no-show. They said she didn't come. She didn't make it. They promoted and everything. Hey, this is where entertainment gets ugly because deposits were made, dates were set, visas were supposed to be gotten. But guess what ended up being? An empty stage. And those Japanese promoters are not happy. And last but not least, Josh Jacobs was arrested on domestic violence-related allegations, but prosecutors have not decided on the charges. So tonight we ask, can the public be serious without being reckless? Please remember, this is not gossip. This is the truth, all right? This is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, where the law gets explained, the culture gets cross-examined, and the jury, that's you, everybody, that's you. You're in the chat. You tell us who embarrassed themselves so much that they're going to find themselves guilty in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. I'm Judge Al Reynolds, and guess what? Court is now in session. All right, before we get messy, do 3 things for me right now. Be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit the share button. And don't forget to turn on your notifications and drop down in that chat because you know we love you being there. And also, let me ask for you to do me this favor because I'm not at my 200 followers yet. Can you please go follow the new Instagram page at Celebrity Court of Public Opinion? That's at Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Now, as always, I got to do a quick legal note. Allegations are not convictions. Lawsuits are not verdicts. Arrests are not guilt. Everybody discussed here in this court is presumed innocent until proven otherwise in the court of law. But honestly, we don't care because our courtroom hits what? Different. We examine the law, but other things that we examine are optics. We examine the celebrity's behavior. We examine power, but we examine our ability to decide in the public opinion who we like, who we believe, who we don't like, and who we find guilty. All right, jury, get down in that chat because I'm going to need you tonight. If you want to right now, just drop down in the chat and tell me who you think, just based off of the headlines, who's guilty and not guilty. Now, of course, you know, I can't do any of this alone. I have 3 real attorneys here tonight who know the difference between legal fact, celebrity spin, and internet foolishness, but they don't know the difference, Attorney Carter, from being sexy and being guilty. The same. The only one that's got any sense in this courtroom tonight is Attorney Weiss. Now, counselors, welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion.
Hey, Thank you, Your Honor.
Glad to be back.
All right, listen, counselors, tonight I don't want no safe answers. I don't want this lawyer fog. I do not want it depends like you usually say, unless you're about to tell me exactly what it depends on. I need clean law, but I need sharp opinions, and I need a little courage for you to tell us the truth about the law as well as public opinion, because tonight the question is not just what does the law say. I want to be very clear. The question is this law? Is this PR? Is this celebrity entitlement? Or is it just straight up mess? Yep, let's go to case number one. All right, first case, Kenneth Iwamasa. I hope I got that right. His name is Kenneth Iwamasa. All right, that is Matt Perry's former assistant. Now he was sentenced to 41 months in prison after pleading guilty in connection with Perry's ketamine-related death. Now, reports say he helped obtain and administer. Somebody need to help me understand how you administer ketamine, including on the day that Perry died. Now, let me say this carefully, because I want to make sure that we understand this. Addiction is not funny. Death is not funny. This is definitely not a punchline. I don't want you to think it is. But the legal and cultural question that I'm going to ask is definitely uncomfortable. Now, this is what I think. When you are paid to be close to a celebrity as their assistant, are you also supposed to protect them and preserve their access to their addiction? I want to know what you guys think, because proximity can look like loyalty until indictment shows up and you end up in jail. Let's go to your attorney, Carter. Counselor, start us off. 41 months, Sean Carter. What drives that number in federal sentencing? Like, I need to know, why was it 41 months? What drives that number in federal sentencing? Is it the plea? Is it the cooperation? Is it his role? Is it remorse, harm, or is it all of it? Tell me what's going on in this case, and how did the courts come up with 41 months?
It's all of it. And the weird part is, to me, because I could tell you 41 months seemed like a lot to me. Let's be clear of the context here. All right. Matthew Perry has an assistant, live-in assistant. And he says, hey, you my boy, you take care of all my stuff. And part of Matthew Perry's stuff was junk, right? Was ketamine. And it was so much so that he had a doctor originally give him ketamine. And he was like, Matthew, that's too much ketamine. So then this guy went out and found him a real janky doctor who would give him all the ketamine. Doctor comes over and shows Kenneth, I think it's Iwamasa, how to administer it, how to give him the shot. He literally gives him an injection. And he gives him 3 injections the day Perry dies, and then they say, hey, you gave him the actual shot, so therefore we're going to charge you. And that's really the big thing with sentencing. With sentencing, they say, look, 2 things are important. One, what happened? The guy died. That's real bad. All right, so we're high already. What role did you play? Were you an innocent bystander, or are you in there putting the needle in the vein? They're like, oh, that's really bad. The maximum sentence was 15 years. Now he's able to whittle that down to 41 months, which is about 3.5 years. But he does so by basically turning into snitch. He tells on everybody. And I don't just mean he tells on the doctor who prescribed the drugs to him. He tells on the doctor who actually gave him the medicine to him. He also tells on who's called the ketamine queen, the person who gets the stuff, who imports the stuff. He told on the Uber driver. He told on Perry's mama. He told everybody, trying to get that 15 years down to 41 months. He did a pretty good job, because otherwise it would have been 180 months, right? So he took it down to 41. So he told as many. I think if he told on his own mama, he probably could have got another 3 months off. But he was going to tell on everybody. And the real thing, though, is this: he gets 41 months. The doctor who prescribed the medicine, who was prescribing $15 medication to him for $5,700 a shot, that doctor only got two years.
What?
That doctor got the medicine from got home, supervised, or what was it, home confinement. And so the guy who got the most time was the guy with the least medical training, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, who had, to me, the purest motive. It wasn't a good motive, but the motive was to keep his job.
Yes.
Because he knew damn well if he had told Matthew at any point, no more ketamine for you, he would have had no more job for him.
That's right. Okay, let's go to you, Counselor Turner. So I want to piggyback off of what Counselor Carter just said. The word here that got him in trouble, according to the documents, was enabling. Now, I got to be honest. You got, I don't know, it's no secret. I've had a lot of assistants in my days, and I've had assistants that are very close and work intimately with me. And when I did my longevity treatments, he would shoot me. He would give me my testosterone. He would give me my human growth hormone. If he had, in fact, doing his job, administering my shots for me, and something was bad in the drug, am I hearing from this case, because this becomes precedence, right? This becomes a case that you can reference. Is he in jeopardy of being charged the same way if I were to be unalive because of that?
Not for those facts. This wasn't a case of contaminated drugs, right? This was the case of an overdose. And one of the things that's been discussed in the media is that one of the reasons he was there was because Matthew Perry had a known drug problem and he was supposed to intervene. So he did the opposite of what he was supposed to do, which was to give extra ketamine to someone who was a known drug addict.
Now, okay, let's go back, because I feel like if you're paying me, just like the doctor for Michael Jackson, if you're paying me and you're Michael Jackson, you're Matthew Perry, one of the most successful actors in all of Hollywood, financially, professionally, he's getting a six-figure check for being there. Like if he says, hey, I need another hit, if you say no, you're out of a job. You're in the unemployment line. Like, so let's go to you, Jason. I want you to be honest. Do celebrities, because he's a celebrity, does that make a difference? Because he's the employer and this is a living assistance, does that make a difference at all? Because I got to tell you, if I was making six figures, $250,000, and my boss says shoot me again, I might shoot him again.
And that's what he did. I mean, he was listening to what his boss said to do, and he did it. But you got to remember, I mean, these are all things that are prescribed. These are, look, in a perfect world, Matthew Perry should have been shooting it up himself, or he should have had a trained medical professional doing it. This gentleman was neither one. And also, like when you were doing it with your HGH and all of that, your assistant wasn't the one securing those drugs for you. You were getting them, and you asked him to just go ahead and administrate them. So if that were the case, if Matthew Perry were getting them and said to his assistant, hey, I need you to do that, that's fine. I mean, look, I had to take B12 shots a couple of years ago, and my wife was the one that gave me those. They were legitimate. I got them, over the counter through a prescription, and she was able to do it. But if she got them for me and they were off the black market and they weren't good or whatever it was, and she injected me and something went wrong, well, hell, she'd be a rich lady because my life insurance policy would have paid out, and, she'd be living the life right now instead of, slumming it with me.
Tova, call me. Call me. All right, really.
I'm worth more dead than alive. So, it's all good.
Well, one other thing to be mindful of in the facts that you guys talked about has to do with the role of the controlled substances. So the testosterone that you mentioned was a controlled substance. The B12 would not have been. And so the B12 is not governed by the DEA. And Correct. So remember, this guy's going to federal prison because he was found guilty of, obtaining and administering a controlled substance, which is governed by the DEA.
Okay. You guys sound so sophisticated and so lawyerly, but he has a $250,000 job. 150. I used to tell my assistant to do everything. But let me ask all three of you a quick question, really, and I don't want no lawyer speech here, okay? Who should the public be angrier at? The supplier, the assistant? Which one do you think, Sean Carter? I personally would think that the supplier should be the one, along with the doctor. They are the ones that should be getting this 41 months, not the assistant. That's my opinion. What say you?
Well, I absolutely. I'm not really mad at any of them in a free market economy. Matthew, you got what you wanted, I guess. But that said, I guess if he was the sick one, then the doctors are definitely most responsible because they were doing it to get paid.
Right. All right, Attorney Turner, who do you say? The supplier, the doctors, or the assistant? Who should carry these 41 months in your opinion? Not lawyer.
Well, I tend to agree with what happened here, right? Because the doctor who prescribed the drugs, they didn't say give him an overdose. So, I've never used drugs, but I've watched Lady Sings the Blues and I watch Sparkle, right? And so that makes me an expert. When you observe people who are already high and you continue to give it, like he was found to have given repeated injections. And so he exceeded what was supposed to be given. Matthew was probably somnolent, which means he was all like sleepy and stuff. And then he gave him more. And so he was the one who had the opportunity to save him, and he didn't.
All right, Jason, what say you?
I think the assistant is the one that should have gotten it. Look, the doctors were prescribing it. They were giving it, but this assistant was the one who was there, who saw it. Just like, look, when you go into a bar and you drink, the Dram Shop Act says that if you serve too many drinks and that person gets into a car accident, that bartender and that bar is going to be held responsible. So I'm going to go with the assistant. He could have just said no, and you know what? Fire me. It is what it is. I'm not
giving up my job. See, that's that privilege you got. I can't. No, sir. I be the shit said the pusher man needs to go down. SL Warrior said they should have been checking like they do with opioids prescribers. How you know, SL Warrior? Richard McGee says, I agree with Al. JP Mills says, hey, listeners. All right, let's go to you. Let's go to you, the chat. Let's go to you guys. Let me know. Jury, get in that chat. Was 41 months, was it A, fair, or was it too light? Drop down in the chat. Was 41 months fair, or was it too light? Drop down in the chat. What do you guys think? I personally would have given the guy administering the shot who gets paid to listen to his boss, to keep his job, to keep his insurance, to feed his family. I would give him less responsibility in this. All right, drop down in the chat. Chat, let me know, jury. Was 41 months A, fair, or B, too light? A, fair, or B, too light? In the meantime, we got some more super chats right here. Look at this right here, everybody. Nisha Phillips, thank you so much for this super chat. Happy Court is back in session. Hey, everyone, Nisha Phillips, thank you so much for your loyalty. I really appreciate your super chat. Oh, and we got another super chat. Oh, it's going to be one of those nights I might need to come out of this robe. All right. Ollie Good, 321. Ollie Good, thank you so much. This is your first time participating in the super chat, and we're going to say thank you. Drop down in the chat what you need. I need to come out this robe. Let me know. And then let's go to Sandra McGee says she feels like it's fair. SL Warrior said it's fair. He won't do it. He won't do all the time. Yeah, you're right about that. Vippa P said
it's federal. He'll do that time.
Oh, he has to do the time? Okay.
Federal, you do the time.
Vippa P said the assistant couldn't win for losing. Poor assistant. I agree. That was not going to end good for them at all. All right, everybody, from tragedy and access to money and alleged betrayal. Yep, let's talk about a former client of mine. Floyd Mayweather. Now, Floyd Mayweather said he was allegedly defrauded out of serious money. And when a man known for counting cash says the money is missing, baby, somebody better bring the receipts. Our next case is about Floyd Mayweather. Now, this is the interesting part. Reports say Mayweather filed a lawsuit seeking $175 million. Now, he's seeking this because he's accusing a former associate and related parties of an alleged years-long fraud scheme. Now, this don't make no sense, but I'm going to let Sean break it down for y'all. Now, these are the allegations. The case still has to be proven, of course, but $175 million is not a small disagreement. This is not you forgot to cash at me. This is generational money with a legal team attached. And here is the question. Sean, I need to know specifically. Was
Mhm.
this fraud? Was this a bad business relationship that he's talking about, that he was frauded in doing business investments? Or is this a rich man's breakup dressed in legal language because now he's fallen on Financial Times? Take it away, counselor. Let me know.
Yeah. No. This is not, just to be clear, this is not a situation where they invested the money in Pookie and Ray Ray's, barbecue sand and it didn't work out. This, his friend and buddy, BFF, Jonah Rechnitz, a guy he went to the games with. Jonah, by the way, before he met Floyd, had been indicted and in a real estate scam in New York and had spent some time in prison. He gets out of prison for defrauding other people, and Floyd says, "You, my boy, you need to be my man. I need to give you access to all my money." And this dude did exactly what he always did, and he started stealing the money. He did it in two ways. One, he would do these real estate deals because Floyd got all this real estate in New York, and he would borrow money, take money from properties. He would, do a sale of the property and then have all the funds come to him instead of Floyd. And then, in addition to that, he took $100 million of Floyd's jewelry and then took it to the local pawn shops in Florida and got $13 million in cash for that $100 million, which, by the way, he kept the $13 million. Now, here's the thing about Floyd is, for one, Floyd need to lose at least $90 million, all right, because that's ignorant, all right? Floyd has got $100 million in jewelry on his body, all right? You realize that Elon Musk, who next month might be worth $1 trillion, that's 1,000 billions, all right? Elon got about $7 of jewelry on him at any time. All right. I have one piece of jewelry in the entire world. You can barely see it on my finger here. It's a wedding band. I got it at Kohl's. It cost me about $70. All right.
Oh, no, it cost you. It cost you a whole, no. It cost you a whole lot more than $70. That shackle. I don't even want to hear.
Fair enough. But the band itself, all right, you're right. The rest of it cost me a few $1 million in money. But this part only cost me $70. And the thing about it is, first of all, he had $100 million of jewelry that he didn't even know was missing. So he walking around for years like, it's Floyd don't go nowhere without a lot of bling. So that's $100 million extra $1 million in jewelry that he didn't even recognize. They were just gone. All right.
All right.
And the idea is this, though. This guy was a scam artist, and Floyd knew he was a scam artist. People asked Floyd, said, "Why would you give the scammer access to all your money?" And Floyd is on tape saying, "That's my boy. I trust him. He's family." You know him only because he was stealing from other people. All right. And so Floyd is the kind of thing where you don't ever want to think that anyone deserves to get stolen from. But if there ever was anybody, then it's Floyd. And Your Honor, I'm kind of disappointed in you because that should have been your $100 million. I don't know what you were doing.
I know. I was thinking about it too. Listen, when I worked with him, he was not as wealthy as he is. Say that. But had I known that he wasn't checking the records,
hold on.
I would have
baloney, Your Honor. You still
I would have legally started a foundation and pitched him on donating to it. Let's go to you, Attorney Turner. How do you prove damages like this without looking like you just picked a number for shock value? Like, how did he come up with an actual $175 million?
Well, he has actual things that are missing. So that's the way he does that. And as Attorney Carter indicated, his whole body is worth more than, not just talking about how he looks in those shorts in the ring, but the jewelry that he wears is worth more than some of us will ever make in our lifetimes, right?
Some.
Not including Your Honor, because he's about to blow up, and I hope he takes us with us. But that's how he shows if he's smart, and somebody indicated that he may not be smart in the chat. And
might not.
Attorney Carter alluded to that when he said, why would he have as his boy somebody who's a known defrauder? But yeah, if he has pictures and evidence and insurance, then he'll have the records necessary to show what he's missing. And then there's also an element of, punitive damages potential.
And all that extra. Okay. Chaos God 1989 said Floyd is slow like what is that, a snail? I be the shit said poor Floyd, he can't read. Oh my Lord. All right, Christine R said, "Where's the ring I brought you, Jason?" I don't want to get involved in that. Leandria 7140 said, "Just dumb for no reason." I just feel like $175 million and you're working with a scammer. Let's go to you, Jason, really quickly. Counselor, when the accused person is allegedly close to the celebrity, right? Does that make the case stronger in the fact that he was a scammer and has been found guilty of that in the past? Does that make it stronger? Does it make it messier? Or if you were representing Floyd, how would you go about this case?
Well, I mean, first of all, the fact that he was close with Floyd shows that Floyd trusted him. He put his confidence in him. I mean, you could even say that the person working with him was his fiduciary, was his agent, was his representative. So that person got a certain amount of trust. When you have that certain amount of trust and you breach that trust, it's not like, the valet that you give your car keys to and they go ahead and, park your car. That's a one-time quick thing of trust. This is someone who you let into your life, you let them know. And, part of the argument is going to be, was it fraud? Was it fraud in the inducement, saying that this was a plan from the get-go and this was, a scheme that came out over time? So you trusted that person, you put that faith in that person, and that the relationship.
I'm just not, attorney Weiss, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. If you trust a scammer, then you deserve to be scammed.
But wait a second.
I'm not the only one that, duh. That's
wait a second. You've never been scammed, Your Honor?
I have, but I haven't been scammed by a known scammer.
But did you know? Look, I've been scammed before. I didn't know they were known scammers until I did my due diligence.
Let's go back to your example. If you knew before you got scammed that it was a known scammer, after you got scammed, how bad can you be?
Oh, then you're an idiot. And they'll call you Floyd Mayweather.
Okay. So really quickly, counselors, he got scammed by a scammer who he knew was a scammer, and one of the best scammers in his friend group. Pick a side. I want y'all to pick a side. So whose fault is this?
I tell you the problem is. So the problem with this is that Floyd is a racist. Because he should have let a black man steal all that money from him. He took that to the white man, and a particular one, because he said, "Oh, they're good with money," and you know how that works. And then he ended up getting caught in his own racism. All right, exactly, right?
Well,
You'd have found a brother. You wouldn't give a brother. You give a brother about access to $13, but you gave this man money because you just knew you. And see, that's what happens when you're racist and anti-Semitic, Floyd, and you're illiterate. You're all that.
What was his last name, Attorney Carter?
Is it Floyd's fault or
Rechnick.
Oh, yeah.
Rechnitz.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Counselors, listen to me. I got to move this show along. Whose fault is it? Is it the scammers or is it Floyd's?
It's not Floyd's, because Floyd works out and he's handsome. I'm going to give him the Carter grade. But no, I think it's the scammer, because I'm not going to excuse the scammer's behavior. Having been scammed by a light-skinned person with curly hair who came up. Like, the part that doesn't make sense to me, though, is that Floyd wasn't confused by sexual relations here. Like, somehow this friend of his, like me, somehow this friend of his was just so charming that Floyd overlooked his past. And so I have a whole bunch of questions about how that happened.
All right, let's go down to the jury real quick.
I didn't get to say my part.
I need you guys to pay attention when I'm talking, please. Let's go to the jury real quick. But before we do the jury, I see we got 2 super chats. We got 2 super chats. First up, let me see. I got to find it. All right, let me see. Sorry, guys. Let me find it really quickly.
Snoop J2792.
Yep. Snoop. No. So PJ 2792 $10. We love it. We love it. It says a fool and his money is soon pardoned. What a clown. Absolutely. I agree. Not 175. And Brenda K, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brenda K, for your support. Thank you, SO PJ. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much for the super chat tonight. Me and the lawyers really appreciate it. And Brenda K says, athletes and rappers, the Twilight Zone and Groundhog Day all wrapped up into one. That's hilarious. All right, let's go to the jury. All right, let's get it down in this chat. Chat, who's at fault? Floyd or the friend, the scammer? Who do you blame? Floyd or the scammer? Drop down in the chat real quick. Floyd or the scammer?
I want to say it's Team Floyd's problem. I think that he had people around him that should have advised him better. So if they would have had, Al and Weiss like it used to be, I don't think Floyd would have been in this problem.
I know. I would have. Look, you hit the lick once. You don't do all of it like that to get caught. All right, before we transition, everybody, please do me a favor and hit that like button if you're enjoying the show. Also, don't forget to hit that follow button subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit the share button. Invite some friends over. Drop down in the chat because we love it. But while you drop it down in the chat, don't forget to go over and follow Celebrity Court of Public Opinion and turn on your notifications. All right. Now, from a $175 million lawsuit to a $3 million performance mess. Yep, we're talking about Saweetie is on the docket. Saweetie, welcome to Celebrity Court. And the question is, was this a contract dispute, a promoter reach, or did somebody allegedly take the bag and leave Japan waiting? This is going to be interesting. I can't wait to hear the breakdown here. All right, our third case tonight is about Saweetie. According to reports, a Japanese promoter said, hell no. You will not get away with getting $3 million out of me, claiming Saweetie agreed to perform multiple shows. Saweetie accepted a $100,000 deposit. Saweetie did not perform and allegedly used visa services while performing elsewhere around the country. Around the world. Sorry. Let me say it again. These are allegations. We have not heard the full defense. But this is the kind of case where the paperwork is either going to save you or embarrass you, because in entertainment, vibes do not and will never beat a deposit. Sean Carter, bring those investigative services in here. Tell us what is going on and why did she think she was going to get away with this?
Oh, I thank you for letting me have this case, because this is right up my alley. This is literally what I do for a living. Somebody contacted Saweetie, just like they do me, and say, boy, you look good, and we want you to come here and give you this money, all right? And so she says, hey, give me half my money up front. Half of her money up front is $100,000. She said, I'll come out there for $200,000 and do 4 shows for you. But the problem is, I'm an American, you're Japanese, you got to take care of all the paperwork to get me over there. Okay. And I probably got some stuff going on. So you deal with that. You get me over there. I'll do the 4 shows. Give me my $100,000 now. She takes the money, goes to Japan, and when she gets there, she says, ooh, people willing to pay me a lot more than $100,000 now that I'm here. I'm gonna do those shows instead. And what? Then and he's like, wait a minute, gave you the $100,000. I spent $200,000 to get the venue together. All right, I spent all this money on security. I was supposed to make $400,000 from this, so you owe me $800,000. All right, for not showing up, and I'm gonna get another $2.2 million in punitive damages because you did this on purpose. See, you had no intention of ever showing up here. You just used me for my visa, girl. You just basically, you played me for the visa to get here, and then you took my kindness and ran off with it. You know, it's like, for instance, you buy a woman a drink at the bar, right? Get her all liquored up and take her home. That's what he's saying, all right? And it's basically saying, no. You need to give me my drink money back. And a little booty, right? You need to do something, all right? Because you didn't get no booty, I want my money. All right. My money back.
Attorney Turner, please help me out here. When does this stay a breach of contract, and when does it become fraud? Because from what I'm hearing, this is giving fraud tea to me. This is like she used them to get over there. I'm sure they sent a private plane. I'm sure they did her visa services. When she landed, somebody probably was like, okay, I'll pay you more if you come here. And so she just dissed the people that sent and made it possible for her to get there. So when is this a breach of contract issue, and when is this fraud? Because contract breach is different when you knowingly broke the contract, right? Mm-hmm. Or you had no intentions of ever performing there.
So fraud is always relevant, even with the contract piece. And so what they might be trying to argue is fraud in the inducement, which means that she's promised to play for them. and they promised to give her X amount of money in exchange, right? And she never intended to do it. So the contract itself is voidable under those circumstances. That's what she would try to argue, or they would try to argue potentially if they were trying to get out of the contract. But they want to enforce the contract here. And so what they're saying, what their strongest claim is in the breach itself. You might get extra for the fraud and the inducement because allegedly she lied, but I have a feeling she didn't actually lie. I think she intended to play, and then she got there, found out she was the hotness, started showing her tatas, getting attention from everybody in Japan, and they were like, "Hey, come over here, swing my way, and perform." And what she may have been calculating was the difference between whatever she made and the penalty for breaching that contract.
All right, let's go to you, Attorney Weiss, really quickly. Now, the person who did the visa services, couldn't they just go tell the visa people, "Hey, she frauded me"?
You know, fraud is a very strong word to throw around. You need to be able to show certain things. And like Attorney Turner said, I think her intention was, I'm going to go over there, I'm going to perform. She got off the plane. She had an opportunity to make more money, bigger venues, more publicity, all this kind of stuff. And she said, look at the pictures that were posted up there. Attorney Carter would say, I didn't do anything wrong just based on the pictures. So I'm going to roll with it. And that's probably what happened. I mean, I don't think she went into this saying, oh, I'm going to defraud them, I'm going to use it for the visa. So it's going to be real tough.
I see. This is an instance where I would throw the book at somebody like this. First of all, you didn't return 100,000 after you frauded me and didn't show up. This is my business. This is how I make my living. You just played me on that front, and then all the people that believe in me now don't believe in me, and you're doing like janky business. But me, I would throw the book at her.
Exactly. But here's what it is. We're gonna be able to tell. We're gonna be able to tell if it's fraud or not when they do discovery, and they have emails from her from weeks and months in advance when she was dealing with other people for those same dates. So we'll know whether she just got off the plane and someone made her a better offer, or whether she planned to do that from the beginning. Here's why I think she might have done that from the beginning. She agreed to go over there with both of those tatas and all of her backup dancers for $200,000 for 4 shows. You can barely hire me for that here in the States. All right? That's no money. I don't think she was ever planning on doing that. I think she knew all the time she could get better stuff, and she would just, have people go ahead and work out the visa stuff for her, and she'll handle it before, because there's no reason in the world. I don't expect to think about it. That girl who had her own Happy Meal at McDonald's was willing to fly to Japan for $200,000. Really?
Yeah, I think the other question for me is, how could you just be so stupid? Like, how could you just be so stupid? Like, did you think this promoter was just going to roll over and say, oh, well, we'll just chuck it up, $100,000, a jet fly over? Like, I don't understand. If I were to do this, I wouldn't perform in the same city that I was supposed to perform at a different venue in.
She probably got to Japan and she was like, there's my best friend. And she wanted to go hang out with her best friend someplace else. I mean, I just think she's not a good businesswoman here. She didn't consider her reputation for doing this to a promoter. Now, other people are going to be nervous about it. She didn't appreciate that, she's had a good run, but at some point she's going to want to do what all washed up R&B and hip hop artists do, which is to tour internationally and stay there for a while. And she may, ruin her chances.
Well, Khaled Davis says that was messed up, no integrity, bad business. SL Warrior says dumb. Doreen Price says 25 Pierce a piece. No, pipe. Pierce. 2555 said fair. Nisha Phillips says, yeah, if she had given them their money back, she would have looked better in the situation. I think so too. Christine R says that's bad business. These young people have no ethics, training, or business acumen, and that's a recipe for disaster. I definitely agree with that. All they care about is money, but there's a way to do things with honor your commitments. That's correct. That's true. Brenda K sounds like Saweetie got a little sour. I mean, the shit said, y'all messy for that Cuervo
But you know what? Even if she would have offered the $100,000 back, that wouldn't have made this any better,
No.
right? She could have said, "All right, here's the $100,000," and the promoter's going to say, "Great, I'm not suing you for the $100,000, but I'm still suing you for the $2.9 million difference." So if I'm her and I'm her attorneys, you know, she screwed up bad enough. Keep the $100,000 until the litigation's going forward. Use that to start, you know, paying my first couple of months of the retainer. But giving back the $100,000 is not going to make any difference.
I'll tell you,
Good news.
Put it in a
if
CD.
you played in my face like this, and I'm the one that got you your visa, I would be over at the consulate turning your ass in. That's what I would do.
Let me tell you, sweetie, you're in good shape. You're in good shape. Here's why. America 250. They bringing in all the other scammers. All right, Millie Vanilli or whichever Millie or Vanilli.
I saw that.
They brought in Vanilla Ice. You got to roll right in there, girl. All right, you go ahead and get your money back, and you can pay these people back.
All right, let's go to the jury chat. Y'all jump down in the chat real quick. Do y'all think this is a simple breach of contract, or do you think this smells like a little bit of fraud, like she had planned to do this anyway? Drop down in the chat and let me know what you think. Let me ask you the question again. Vote right now. Do y'all think this is a breach of contract, or do you think this smells like a little bit of fraud, like she knew what she was doing? She saw the dollar signs and she was just using them to get the access over there. Drop down in the chat. All right. Let me know what you think. And I will say this, because I don't know all the facts right now. I'm not going to drag her too much, but I will say this. If you're taking deposits, right? Jason, you know this. If you're taking the deposit, you're signing the contract. They're sending you accommodations like flights and stuff, and it's international dates. I don't know what she can actually say to protect herself in this case. To me, this particular case is shut. She better come up off the $3 million. Now she got to take all the money she made being disloyal and not right to pay this lawsuit and her lawyers. It don't make any sense to me. Just
unless he had insurance.
It was confusing. They may say they thought they were going to the right place. They don't read Japanese. And so she just went.
I didn't read the signs.
Yeah.
right. I didn't read the signs. All right. Now we move from contracts to something more serious. Josh Jacobs was arrested on domestic violence related allegations. Now, prosecutors reportedly have not decided on charges, and his attorneys deny any wrongdoing. I need to make sure we make that clear. So now the question is, can the public be serious without being reckless? Our final case of the night is about Josh Jacobs. Now, according to reports, he was arrested on domestic violence related allegations and he was released the same day. Now, prosecutors said more investigation is needed before deciding whether to file charges. Now, the attorneys are denying wrongdoing, but this is very serious. All right. And this is where the internet gets really dangerous because a whole lot of stuff is coming up on the internet about this, right? Some of them are saying destroy him. Some of them are actually defending him because they say he's a great athlete. Both, in my opinion, doesn't speak to if you put your hands on somebody when you're not supposed to. I don't care how great of an athlete you are. You're not great in my mind anymore. All right, Attorney Carter, let's go to you. Explain to me why this case has just been all the talk on the internet. What really happened? How did he get turned in, or did he turn in himself? Give us the details here.
No, so they get a complaint about, this man has assaulted me. We don't know exactly who the victim is yet, but that he has assaulted me. He actually attempted strangulation, etc. And the police go and pick him up. And the thing is, but then apparently at some point between that and the time they release him, and the DA says, I'm not ready to press charges yet. And the difference is that to pick someone up for arrest, it doesn't take a lot. All right. Being black is most of the time almost enough. All right. But think of it like, Tinder, right? It's just swiping right or left, however direction that you do. I'm grown, but however direction you go, you don't really have to have a lot. You just have to say, ooh, they kind of look cute in that. All right. Okay. But on the other hand, before you bring them home to your mama, All right, you need to do some vetting, right, and make sure, right, because you don't want to embarrass yourself at Thanksgiving. And that's what it is. The DA is looking at that like, oh, I know she was cute and all, and it was fun, but we need to make sure we can trust her around my mama, right? And so the DA is now looking at it, and they haven't said that they're not going to press charges yet. They just have some questions, I imagine, right? And there's probably some questions as to the victim's veracity, as to whether, there's some other issues. Maybe the victim has actually come back to him at some point. There's a whole thing that they're going to check out. So right now he's in limbo, but you understand that to arrest you, it doesn't take a whole lot. All right. Okay. To charge you, it takes more because you got to take that to a judge and then you got to defend yourself.
Okay. So Shaitan, Attorney Turner, you're really good at teaching us. Help me understand this, right? If you get arrested and you're taken to booking, right? How do you get arrested but don't have no charges?
Well, they arrested him on suspicion of domestic violence and all the charges that they mentioned, and then they let him leave. It doesn't mean it's a slam dunk because they haven't dropped the case. What it means is that they're working it up, and it's possible, this happens sometimes, that they really want it to stick. And so that's why they're getting doing more investigation. Here, one of the charges that he's been accused of is strangulation and suffocation. So the interesting thing about
what proof do you need that he did it? I mean, she's got marks around her neck. You want her dead to charge him?
She may not be cooperating right now. I'm not sure. But as I've mentioned before on here, one of the psychiatrists I work with say that, strangulation is actually one of the most easy predictors to someone who could potentially engage in lethality. And so I do hope that they work it up. I'm not saying he didn't, but I'm saying that that's a really serious allegation. I was impressed, though, on a side note, by Attorney Carter's comparison with the criminal justice system to Tinder. I think he is inspired. And basically he's saying you could take someone to your bed and that's the equivalent of getting arrested, but you won't take them to your mama. And that's the equivalent of charges. I'm telling you, if you have not taught law school, Attorney Carter, I recommend it. That would track. That would track.
Attorney Weiss, let me ask you this. What would counselors want before deciding whether to file charges? What else? What other proof do they need?
They're going to want witness testimony. They're going to want to see photographs at the scene. They're going to look at any behavior that maybe wasn't reported in the past or swept under the rug. Unlike what the prosecutors are going to do. I mean, I think the NFL, just based on the fact that he was arrested, I think the Raiders are already out there looking for a replacement for this running back because he's probably going to be suspended anywhere from 6 games through the entire season. So this is serious for him in many, many different levels. It might affect his freedom. It might affect his finances. It's going to affect his reputation, and it might affect, his relationship with his kids as well.
Yeah, I got to be honest. This is the part that I don't like.
Wait a minute. Is that her? Is that her?
Calm down. Hold on.
Don't make me get on a plane, Josh. Don't make me get on a plane. You don't whoop a woman that fine.
Counselor, calm down. Anybody cute, you're like, no, he didn't. This is the part I don't like. If he has not gotten any charges, I don't think it's fair that we jump to conclusions in public opinion. I just don't. I don't think it's fair because so often, especially because his livelihood is tied to this. If that team put him off the roster tomorrow, it's going to affect his livelihood, right?
It's not the team who's going to do that. It's going to be the league. The team,
really?
Yeah. First of all, the Raiders will take anybody, right? We know that.
Stephon Diggs played in the Super Bowl with charges that were pending against him, and it turned out to be found not guilty. So why would you just suspend this guy, right? And then find out later he's not guilty. They're gonna unless the video comes out like a Diddy video, he's fine. So as long as you have a ring cam in the house, he's gonna be all right until trial.
Okay, but I just don't like the fact that he's still gonna be tainted. No.
Well,
yeah, I mean, look. Anybody would be tainted if you had that accusation made against you and you have a public following.
So let me ask the obvious question, then, counselors. Let me ask the obvious question. should public figures like this, because it's only because he's a public figure that he's all over the internet, right? All over
Right.
Instagram. Should public figures be publicly judged before charges are actually filed?
Yeah, but that's going to humanity, right? We follow athletes, we follow entertainers, we want to be like them, we want to learn about them. But the same thing is going to be in the negative, right? They do something, they're getting press coverage. That is part of being a celebrity. When you're in the public eye, you're in the public eye for the good and the bad. And that's the price of fame, and it sucks, and I understand it hurts their livelihood and their reputation, but that means they need to act very, very carefully and very responsibly.
Okay, I guess so.
I mean, I don't want to bring up mob rules, but when things like this happen that don't seem to make sense, somebody may have gotten to her to change her mind, because the police knew when they arrested him with these serious charges that it was going to negatively impact his career. They knew that there was a potential that he could sue the police department for, fraudulent or false charges. And so I actually think that they were confident when they arrested him, and something has happened that made them less confident. And so they want to make sure they have a solid case before they charge him.
All right, Chaos God 1989 said he should know better. Caramel 1977 Cancer said this is why it's important to know who you're involved with before you sleep with them, date them, and marry them. These entertainers need to learn.
Yeah,
these entertainers need to learn how to move smarter. What were you saying, Attorney Turner?
I just said we need to pause with that wisdom. We all need to better understand people we sleep with, and before we marry them.
That would hit a chord, Attorney Turner. All right, let's go down here in the chat.
Me and Attorney Carter are keeping our mouths shut.
Exactly, because y'all out here blocking. So shame on you.
All right, let's go down in the chat really quickly. Come on, jury, I need you to step forward. Is it fair that he gets judged and his career be put in jeopardy without actual charges? Remember, we have no charges. Is this fair? Or A, is it fair? B, is it not fair? Come on, jury members, drop down in the chat.
I think it would help me decide if Beta puts up that picture of her again. Can I see her again? And can you send it to me privately? Woo, Lord, no, he's guilty. He's guilty.
Really quickly, everybody, listen to me. Drop down in the chat, please. Is this fair or not fair? Is it fair or not fair? Remember, there are no charges. Is this fair or not fair? Drop down in the chat. Drop down in the chat really quickly. Drop down in the chat. Drop down in the chat. Because to me, public opinion sometimes is a verdict, and they're like, hey, even though we don't have any charges on him, everybody now is basically saying he's guilty, and these are serious allegations. This is domestic violence, and we know how people are feeling as it relates to domestic violence, and especially when it comes to professional athletes and entertainers. All right, thank you. All right, let's see. Chaos God says fair, no charges yet. Donna Michelle Porter 9238 says guilty. Colette Davis says not fair. Let's see. Somebody talking about their coochie. Says me and my coochie sit at home, eat mango. What's that? Mangosteens. And mind our business. We not dealing with nobody. Malia says not fair. Oh well. Nisha Phillips says not fair. I beat the shit. Said I can't stand Sean. Sandra says not fair. Brenda K say no, it's not fair. Okay, so it's good to know that.
Wait, but I beat a shit says life ain't fair. I don't feel sorry for him. Too rich to be this negligent.
Okay, I can agree with that too. All right, let's keep it moving. We're going to the final jury deliberation right now. All right, jury, it's that time. We have 4 cases, 4 messes, 4 different kinds of exposures. I need you to drop your verdict in there. Is it guilty or not guilty? Don't forget, 4 cases, 4 messes, 4 different kinds of exposure, guilty or not guilty. All right, let's start with Matthew Perry's assistant. Was this a fair sentence or not fair sentence? Is he guilty for killing Matthew or unaliving Matthew Perry? Is he guilty or not guilty? Drop down in the chat. Everybody drop down in the chat right now. Is Matthew Perry's assistant guilty or not guilty? SL Warrior said he's guilty. Is he guilty or not guilty? IB the shit says guilty. Nisha Phillips says guilty. Sorry, Kenneth, you've been found guilty. Guilty in the court of public opinion. Next up, Mayweather. Is Mayweather's scamming friend guilty of being a scammer or not guilty? And is Mayweather's fault for hiring a scammer? Is Mayweather's scammer guilty for being a scammer or not guilty because Mayweather hired a scammer? Drop down in the chat. Is Mayweather's scammer guilty for being a scammer or is Mayweather guilty for hiring or not guilty? Mayweather, or is he not guilty because Mayweather hired a scammer? I be the shit said big old guilty dummy. It says guilty for not reading. All right, Christine. All right, sorry, Mayweather, you've been found guilty. Guilty for being not the brightest in this situation right here. Next up, our third case, Saweetie. Is Saweetie guilty or not guilty of stealing those Japanese people's money? Drop down in the chat. Is Saweetie guilty or not guilty for stealing those people's money? Drop down in the chat. Is she guilty or not guilty? SL Warrior says she's guilty. Is she guilty? Nisha Phillips says she's guilty. All right. And Editor, what's going on? Is guilty. All right. Sorry, sweetie. Welcome to Celebrity Court. You've been found guilty of being crazy and stealing.
Sorry, Attorney Carter. Sorry.
Right. Next up, Josh Jacobs. Is he guilty or not guilty in public opinion? What are your thoughts given what you know? Is Josh Jacobs guilty or not guilty? Drop down in the chat. Is he guilty or not guilty? Drop down in the chat. Is Joshua Jacobs guilty or not guilty of violating that young lady? All right. Brenda K says not guilty. All right. Nisha Phillips says not guilty. Let's see. We got two not guilties. Donna Michelle Porter says, nah, he's guilty.
Ooh, close.
Christine R says, I need more information. Melina says guilty. Sandra McGee says not guilty. We have a tie here. Next up, JJ looks guilty. Well, sorry, JJ in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion, you've been found guilty. Guilty as charged. Sorry, brother. I was trying to help you out. I don't like the ladies. They said what they said. The jury said what they said. Really quickly, counselors, don't forget we're only have 2 minutes left, but I do want to ask this question. Rapid fire only, please. I need to know, what are your thoughts on the particular cases? All right, let's start with you, Sean Carter. Which case has the worst PR optics?
That's going to be my case. I just saw my wife in the chat, and she heard what I said about the other stuff. So next week we're going to be doing celebrity divorce, I imagine. Baby, I didn't mean none of that stuff. I was just talking to people on TV. I didn't mean none of that, baby. I was wrong.
I already got you in the garage, boy. You better watch out. Don't worry, Miss Carter. He gonna go get you a slip. Everything gonna be all right tonight. All right, Turner. Ladies, I need you to pay attention. I'm closing the show. Shatan Turner, which case would you least want as a lawyer? Which case would you least want as a lawyer?
Oh, I would hate to be defending Saweetie in this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there just aren't a lot of options.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty guilty across the board. All right, for you, Attorney Weiss, which case is the public probably getting wrong? This is a good one. Which case do you think the public is probably getting wrong?
I think the Josh Jacobs case. I think the public is automatically saying because he was arrested for it, he's guilty.
All right. You see, this is why I love this courtroom. The law wants evidence. The court, they only want emotions. And celebrity culture wants everybody to pick a side before the facts finish loading. Tonight's lessons to me were very simple. Celebrities do not cancel consequences. But guess what? Money does not cancel paperwork. And on top of that, a deposit does not cancel professionalism, and an arrest does not cancel due process. In one case, we saw the danger of access. In one case, we saw the cost of alleged behavior. In one case, we saw why contracts matter more than celebrity vibes. And on the last case, we saw why serious allegations require both concern but discipline and waiting to see if they're guilty or not. This is what this show is all about. Not gossip by itself, gossip with receipts. And I'm very proud of that. Commentary with context, shade with standards, because you know this courtroom, we got standards, and don't talk about the jury. They got the highest of standards, and public opinion with a little bit of legal education. I'm Judge Al Reynolds, and this has been Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Please do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, follow us at Celebrity Court of Public Opinion on Instagram, and drop the next case you want on my docket, because the court may adjourn, but public opinion never clocks out. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. Court is now adjourned.